Today, our friend Deadwood joins us for a story. Hey, Deadwood Jedi, thank you so very much for joining us. What is going on?
Not much. I'm really happy to be here as always. It's always great talking with you, hanging out, and I love a good story, as we know, and I'm excited to tell this one.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much for joining us for the story for Ba Satha. Ba Satha seems like such a really cool, interesting champ. Like, I know in the game, I love his design. He's got this like cool purple lightning with him. He seems like he's like an AoE stun kind of champ. I think he looks so neat.
But he's definitely, I think very interesting. Any of these legendary champions, these new ones are always really good. Typically, and if the story is anything like the champion should be, he should be pretty amazing for us in game, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so too. I think right now we're still in the process of collecting his fragments, right? As far as I know.
That's my understanding too. I don't even know that I'm at that point myself yet, but yeah, he looks amazing. You're right about the lightning, by the way.
I know.
It's one of the coolest things I think I've seen in a while. So definitely excited to bring him on and give him a good run around in the team.
Yep, I think they did such a good job, and I'm looking forward to the story as well too. So go ahead, guys, sit back, enjoy, and we are going to share the story for Ba Satha.
Clad in armor of enchanted bronze, rippling with unfettered arcane power, the beast, known as Ba Satha, is the stuff of nightmares for those unfortunate enough to face it in battle. His howls echo with the screams of 1,000 souls and chill the blood of even the bravest warriors, and his swinging tail can crumple steel as if it were rotten wood. It would be hard to imagine that such a savage monster was once among the first defenders of Teleria against the darkness of Siroth. But that is the truth.
Aeons ago, when humans and elves were but fledgling upstarts, and wars between the immortal servants of Lumea and Siroth shook the realm, both the deities sought to strengthen their armies with beasts and heroes of the ancient races. Ba Satha was one among the lizardmen of old, a descendant of the dragons that sired the race.
Despite a bestial appearance, he possessed intelligence and wisdom far beyond that of his kin. It was a gift Ba Satha used to guide his tribes in times of great turmoil that threatened Teleria itself. Under his leadership, an alliance of lizardmen faced the demon-spawned legions that rampaged in their lands and triumphed. Though such an insult to the Dark Lord could not go unpunished, those tribes knew the demons and their thralls would seek revenge.
It was then Ba Satha earned the Arbiter's attention. Lumea's herald reasoned that the lizardmen had already made an enemy out of Siroth. It would not refuse her help. There was a price, however, and Ba Satha had to bind his soul to the Arbiter's will. It was a harsh bargain, but a fair one, and the wise beast agreed to it in the end so that his kindred could be saved from the clutches of Siroth. Delighted, the Arbiter fulfilled her end of the pact. It gave unto Ba Satha the gift of immortality and the power to control souls departing from their mortal shells. That way, she hoped, the lizardmen would gain an advantage over the Dark Lord's necromancers.
For centuries after, Ba Satha waged war against the many terrifying abominations Siroth had created. It was his might that put an end to the dread Spider Queen Urgreth in the Battle of the Black Dawn, and he again who vanquished the undead magus Hera-On, whose hordes of living corpses lay waste across the western continent of Teleria. Indeed, in that mythical age before written history, Ba Satha was among the first and most powerful warriors of light. To this day, legends of the god beast survive in the folklore of barbarian tribes and dusty old tomes in the Royal Library of Aravia.
Alas, the lizardmen had since descended into savagery, and the Arbiter's power waned. Ba Satha, still immortal, lost much of his previous self to the ruthless march of time, and, like so many of his kin, became more alike to a vicious animal than a sentient being. Still, Ba Satha's strength remains, and his hatred for the minions of darkness burns, as bright as it did before. Perhaps this ancient creature can yet be brought into Lumea's service again. Alright, so that was the story for Ba Satha. What did you think of it?
I loved it. I like that story a lot. I think it's just such a cool concept of this, god beast, and then he falls from the grace that he has, and then it's I don't know, I really enjoy it. I like the idea of a before and an after, and seeing I also like the concept of the lizard men like kind of losing their mind over time and becoming more bestial and stuff. It is a very, very cool story.
I love what they've done, kind of like to your point with some of these lizards, like we see with Chris, they did with Ramanatsu, now we do with him, is they talk about these lizards being nobility. They talk about them being like leaders. Ramanatsu is a prince, so they talk about like Chris. Chris was a guardian. So they talk about them having these positions, like these positions of authority. And through different sequences of events, yeah, you're right. Like they start delving into more savagery, like the story says, where they start losing themselves. And it's really interesting, I think, in Ba Satha's case, where the Arbiter, as she does pretty often, she kind of gives them, an ultimatum? The Arbiter's been known to do that, right? Poor guy.
Yeah, she's carrot and stick thing. Yeah, I got it.
She does. I think she did that to Ramanatsu. I think the only one she didn't do that to is I think Krisk actually, joined her. But in this one, it ended up being kind of an ultimatum. But maybe that also makes sense because we get him in the Doom Tower too.
That's true. That's a very good point. One of the interesting things I find with stories like this, where you talk about, I love the fact you bring up that they are, nobility and leaders. And I think one of the hard things that I find this when I play D&D is when you talk about people that don't look like humans, it's very, or like, human adjacent, right? Like, there's elves or dwarves, but they look very, very human. When you start talking about, animal, species and races like this, it's very hard to wrap our heads around them in human terms, right?
Right.
Having a civilization, having nobility and stuff like that. And I think it's so cool that, that is what's going on here. That they, very established. These are, peoples on par with all the other peoples. And in some ways even, better, being leaders and protecting the realm and stuff like that. I think it's a very cool kind of concept and approach to this.
I agree. And I love that you made that point because they talk about them being intelligent. So like you said, like they're sentient, aware beings. They have the same they have personalities, they have characteristics just like we do. But like you said, sometimes it's difficult for us to wrap our minds around that they're essentially like us. It's just that they don't look like us. So I love that you
100%.
Pointed that out, like you see in some other things too.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, I see birds in people that have them as pets, and I'm like, why? I can't. They're creepy to me. They're this foreign entity. Like I cannot do it. But you know what? I understand, right? Like that is a thing, and thank goodness for some people can see them that way. But to be able to have that understanding, and be able to go, okay, yeah, that may look like a lizard, but it's got the brain of anybody else that I know. I think it's a really cool thing to have in this game, and I think it's a great approach to it.
Did you say
I thought it was also interesting? Yeah, birds creep me out.
I have a pet bird. Did you know that?
Well, you have a modern dinosaur in a cage, and that's great.
I know that. He's actually well aware of the fact that he's king, and he's a minor dinosaur. He knows. Trust me, he knows.
They freak me out. I can't help it. They have dead eyes, and they walk weird. I can't deal. My own personal thing. I'm not putting it on you.
It's fine. I just thought that was funny. I was like, did he really just say that? Like, I have a bird.
I can't. I'm a dog guy. I don't know what to tell you.
It's okay. It's fine.
But the point is that not all. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the point is anymore. One of the interesting things, just to not subtly change the subject. I thought it was really interesting. They were talking about the people that he defeated. The Magus. Herion.
Yeah.
I had a hard time saying that in the story. It's a very confusing word. And the Queen Urgreth, the Spider Queen. I thought that was really cool that those are actually brought into this story, right? You take other aspects of the game and you bring them into the story.
Right. And the thing is, Magus Herion, I don't think that's somebody that's in the game.
Okay, I was a little nervous to bring that up because I wasn't sure. Do I just not know? But I'm not aware of that.
I don't think so. But I mean, this isn't the first time where they had a story and introduced a new character in. Like one of the more recent stories I did was for Glycea and for Tatura. So the funny thing was Tatura's lore story came out first. And then his story mentions Glycea's soul guide. And so, of course, I DM Banana and I'm like, new champ? And so she gives me a winky face. I was like, oh, I gotcha. Like I knew, I was like, all right. So then Glacea Soul Guide came out afterwards and they have a bonded story. So it makes sense. So like I said, this isn't the first time that they've done that. So I guess, who knows? Maybe this will be somebody that shows up eventually. Who knows?
Interesting. So it could be another boss in the game, or maybe it's another, champion that we're going to be facing later on. I think that's really cool.
Maybe like a new Doomtower boss or something?
That very well could be. Very well could be. Or maybe, it's another, reward champion of some sort. Or it could be, God, I'm trying to think what else it might be. But yeah, however it comes about, I'm pretty excited about it. Maybe it'll be a new fusion champion, Yeah,
that could be kind of cool to see what they could do with that.
Absolutely. Ooh, Bathassa's nemesis. I like it.
I like it, right? I like it too. I like it too. Well, Deadwood, thank you so much for joining us for the story for Ba Satha. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave some comments down below and tell us what you think. Did you like the story for Ba Satha? Is it what you thought it would be? Do you love a story like this for a really cool Doomtower champ like him? And are you looking forward to getting him yourself? Because it's going to be a while before we collect enough fragments to actually play around with him.
Exactly. I think he looks amazing. He looks so good. I definitely want to play with him, even if his kit is terrible, which it does not appear to be terrible. So I definitely want to play around with this one. And thank you so much for having me on. It is always a pleasure. I always feel very honored to be able to come on and do this. So
thank you so much. The pleasure is mine. Thank you. Bye. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, check out some more videos up here in the playlist on the top right.